Hey y'all, welcome to the Pungo Prairie. Now it's October, and you know what that means. I'm back here in my hunting camp in the mountains of Virginia. Now, can you believe it's been 4 years already since I shot and uploaded my video, Good Camp, that so many of y'all enjoyed watching and commented about? And a lot of those comments have been, hey Dixon, can you tell us more about your shower? Show us a little more detail on how you set it up. You're going way too fast in the video. Well, today, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to show y'all how I set up my shower in my Good Camp. So don't go nowhere, because you don't want to miss this. Now, the main reason that it's taken me 4 years to get around to making this video, for the last 3, I've been setting up my little 10 by 10, 4-foot high wall tent, which doesn't have a shower. The walls are not high enough for me to fit my shower into. So I have to do my bathing in a little bit more primitive fashion, if you know what I mean. Daddy, while you're shooting that video, I think I'm just going to lay right down here in this warm sun and take me a nap. Tally girl, you're supposed to be helping me direct this movie. Yeah, Daddy, whatever you say. But come on, I'm going to show you a little bit about the shower tent itself. Now, I had this little shower tent custom made by Salem Tent and Awning, the same outfit way out in Salem, Oregon, that built my tent for me. Now, it's a little bit different than the standard shower tent that they might offer that would be a standalone, kind of more A-frame, kind of like the outhouse tent. I wanted this to be able to set in this corner underneath the porch here of the tent and face this way. Instead of the eaves breaking back off here again, I had it just stopped right there at the ridge top. Now it makes it for a little bit more awkward setting the framework up because it doesn't want to steady itself until you get the canvas on it, or actually it's more like a rubberized mat material. And I put bungee cords to hold the pipes together until I get the skin on top of it. Now, what I did is incorporated the framework so that that ridge pole right there runs on through and connects to the system, the frame system that holds up the porch itself. But it's facing this way. It's got a zippered front panel right here that opens up and gives you access into the shower itself. Now, the shower tent fabric itself is like a rubberized material. That way, the water doesn't seep into it. It makes it nice and easy to clean up with like a mildew remover, and it doesn't take long to dry out. Now, for the shower pan itself, all I got right here is a washing machine tray that you would set your washing machine in case it ever sprung a leak. It don't leak all over the floor. Now right here, I took a hole saw and drilled a hole in the back edge of our pan here and put a PVC drain in it. That way I can drain the water out. It doesn't all fill up in the pan and run over in the shower. Now the first thing I'm going to do here is unhook our porch wall and get that back out of the way. I'm just going to kind of take and hook this little bungee cord on that wire there that I've already run to our battery and hold it up out of the way. Just clip that right up there. And I'm just going to come along here right in about the dead center of where our shower is, and about where that little drain pipe from that shower pan will line up, and dig a little hole. You don't have to be too deep. This wire out of the way again. Should have dug this hole footer. I think we might need another bungee cord here. Give us a little bit more working room. Come inside here. Take us out a shovel full. Make sure we're in here good, which I think we are. It looks like it. Now the thing about my tent set up here, especially where the shower goes, the soil is very sandy and very rocky with lots of little gravel down in there with it. So that means it's going to perk very well and drain the water off very quick. I'm just going to take and dig up some of this gravel sand down here by the creek. Put in this bucket. And we're going to go right on in our hole with it. And now we're going to go right on in with our shower pan. Now when you step out of that shower, you don't want to just step on that dirt with your wet feet. So I got a little wooden grate there that you can step out on and dry off. Now we got our shower stall all set up. Let's go check out our plumbing and electrical system. Now, with me being a boat guy and all, I got this little Marine Tough Blaster washdown pump with an automatic shut-off pressure switch wired up to a little toggle switch here. The toggle's here on the inside. You can't see it from this angle. There you go. You can see it now. Now I got a little pump wired up here with the red wire that's coming in from the positive battery terminal to this side of our switch, coming out over here into our pump, and the black wire hooked up with this little quick disconnect spade connector that goes onto the negative terminal of the battery. There's another little view of that pull apart quick disconnect spade connector. That makes it real easy to break it all down or to set it all up when you're making your electrical connections. Right here I have a 12-volt marine battery in a marine style battery box providing no direct ground contact. I've run the wires from our pump along the inside wall of the tent porch, suspended off the ground by those bungee cords you saw. This battery will supply all the power we need for the next 2 months here in camp because that little pump draws very low amperage. All right, we got our pump sitting on top of a cylindrical, about a 25-gallon reservoir. Now that's just a plastic tank that I retrieved. It had cleaning chemicals in it back when I had a boat dealership and marine service department. And that little tank is tough, I'm telling you. It's been with me for 23, 24 years now, all the way from the mountains of Virginia to the Colorado Rockies and back, sitting right behind that little camp stove. Okay, let's talk about our plumbing setup. I've got a water tank, a 5-gallon stainless steel water tank that's mounted on a bracket that's attached to the side of our little camp stove. It's got a little lid that lifts up like that, so the whole thing lifts off. And right here on this boiler type spigot that's coming out of the end of it is a manifold for a garden hose, a series of garden hoses that you could pick up at like a Lowe's or a Home Depot or any good hardware store. Now this one right here has 4 separate hose bib attachments on it, and each one has its own individual little shut-off valve, as you can see right there. And of course, one of our little manifold valves here is reserved if we just say want to get some water out of our tank, some hot water, put in like a stainless steel bucket or a dish pan. And I always like to keep a bucket of some nice hot soapy water, which I got a little bit of bleach in, sitting here on the wood stove. That way I always got nice hot soapy water for washing my hands. Now with this little manifold and its series of shutoff valves, including the main one that's right here on the water tank itself, I can control the flow of water into and out of the tank. Into the tank from the supply reservoir and out of the tank to the shower. Now I've got these washer hoses set up, and the reason I use those is because they'll stand up to the hot water, and they have female connectors on both ends. Now I've got one washer hose set up to the inside bib on this little manifold, and what that does is bring water into our tank from our plastic reservoir. Now on the outside connection to the outside hose, I've got water going out from the tank and into our shower. And the way that that happens is first you have to be sure that the main valve is turned on so water can go in and out of the tank. If you want to get water into the tank, you take the inside valve here, turn it to the on position. Notice it's in line with the hose, and that little hose right there, I've got it running along over here beside the wood pile, And actually I got both of those hoses looped through the little carrying handle on our wood caddy here, so it keeps them away from the side of the stove and they don't get accidentally bumped up against it. Now on our little pump here, on this side is water coming into the pump. On this side over here is water flowing out from our pump. Now there is a directional arrow on the other side here that tells you the direction of the flow. Now this right here is a pickup pipe. I've got a PVC pipe that goes through this fitting and it goes all the way down to the bottom of the tank to maybe about an inch or so off the bottom. And that's screwed on right here with another little short piece of this washing machine hose. Goes around the back of our tank and it comes in to the inlet side of our pump right here. So I want to take water from the reservoir. I want to bring it out of the pickup, around through the hose into the inlet side of our pump, and I want to discharge that cold water from the reservoir out through this side. And I've got this little valve turned in the on position in line, as you can see, and that's going to feed the cold water back down here in to our little 5-gallon hot water tank. So with our inlet inside little valve on and our little outflow valve on going to that hose to the tank, and our water feeding from the pickup to the inlet valve, which is in the on position here, I'm just going to flick our little toggle switch on. You can hear our pump running, and voila, just like that, you got nice fresh water from our reservoir tank flowing into our water heater tank on the side of the stove here. Close up the lid, and if need be, add a little bit of wood to the stove here. Get the fire going to heat up that water. A lot of times folks will say, "Hey Dixon, ain't that water going to get awful hot for taking a shower? How do you control the cold and the hot feed coming into the shower?" Well, that you have to do a little different than you do in your shower at home, because you don't have a hot and a cold handle or a diverter. So here's how we do that. Generally, that water in that wood stove is hot, too darn hot for taking a shower. So what I do is I'll wait till it gets down to maybe almost halfway, to the little bit over the half full mark. Then I'll add some cold water to it and get it to just the right temperature where I feel like I want it to be when I take my shower. And then that 5 gallons, it'll hold. It'll be just about perfect for taking a nice shower, but you gotta kind of do it Navy style. Especially when you got all that shampoo lathered up in your hair and you don't want to run out of water before you get it all rinsed out of there good. Okay, right here we got on our discharge side of our little pump, we got this hose that's running down, then out the corner where the saw cloth overlaps. It comes up from the bottom of our shower, running along that tent pole. I got a little S-hook there to kind of hold it off in the corner in that gusset, and it goes right over here where it's attached to just a regular old hose nozzle sprayer with a shower select on it, hanging on a little S-hook. So now we're going to turn our little valve off that supplied our water tank, and we're going to select our outside valve to the on position. That way it'll allow water to flow out of our tank into our pump. Now I'm going to close the little valve that brought water in from our reservoir tank, and I'm going to select open for the little valve that'll bring water into the inlet side of our pump from our hot water tank. Now this valve here on the Y on the discharge side of our pump that supplied the hot water tank, we're just going to shut that one off and open this one up on this side of the Y of our discharge side of the pump that runs into this hose and supplies the shower head. Okay, turn on a little toggle switch. The pump will run a second, you'll hear it quit. That's because the pressure built up in the line and stopped the pump with that automatic cutoff pressure switch. And boys and girls, you're ready to take a shower. Isn't that nice? Finish it all off with a little shower caddy I hung up in here for the soap and the shampoo and the razor and a washcloth, and you are in business. And we got our water draining right out through the bottom of that pan into that little septic system we dug. So some of y'all saying, okay, Dixon, what's this little hose bib for? Well, that's if you want to bring a garden hose, hook it up in there, and pump water in from a reservoir mounted on the back of your mule or your pickup truck directly into the water tank. Now, I do have another reservoir tank, which is nothing more than one of those plastic spray tanks you can pick up at Tractor Supply or Northern Tool. You can put it in the bed of your pickup truck or in the back of the mule. It's got a big, wide screw top lid on it that you can take off of there. And I'll just run that up to Goshen Pass here, where there's a pipe coming out of the side of the hill with mountain spring water flowing right out of it, and fill that reservoir tank, bring it back here, hook it up to the little pump with the garden hose there, and fill that up without having to wrestle that cylindrical tank out of the corner every time. Now I can already hear some of y'all right now, hey Dixon, don't you think that plastic water tank's a little bit too close to the back of that wood stove? Now that's a good point. One thing I try to do is keep the water tank full. That way it helps to cool the plastic tank. But even so, we still have exposure to our wires and our pump and our hoses. And trust me, that stovepipe can get pretty hot soaking the back of that stove. And this right here is where a little redneck engineering comes into play. You just take you some nice heavy-duty Reynolds wrap tinfoil like this, fold some pieces together, even another one down below. Just kind of crimp it right here on these hoses like that. It stays right there. There's a nice airspace behind that tinfoil, that equipment, and that tank. And you got yourself a heat shield that'll bring Apollo 13 back home. Well, that might be a slight exaggeration, but it's going to be just fine for this little camp module. Trust me, I've been doing this for a lot of years. The back of that stove could be 400 degrees. That tinfoil might be 90 degrees, but that equipment behind it is going to be right there at room temperature. Pamela Jane just texted me. She's off work for a couple weeks. She might come up for a visit. Maybe we could get her to give us a little better demonstration on just how good that shower works. If not, you're going to be stuck with me. Lordy, Lordy, ain't that a vision now. Anyway, I hope this gives y'all a little better insight into how I set up my camp shower. And that, girls and boys, is how you set up a good shower in a good camp the Pungo Prairie way. I'm singing in the rain, singing in the rain. Hey, obviously Pamela Jane didn't make it. What can I say? Oh my goodness, this hot water feels good though, y'all, I can tell you that. Yes, it does. Ellie Dog, you're next. Oh yeah, what I'm talking about. I sure do hope Pamela Jane shows up.